America's future is furry. I want to have a conversation, and I hope you all join in, on how pets, particularly cats and dogs, seem to have taken over American society. And there seems to have been obsessions developed over cats and dogs primarily. Other pets are involved, but those are the main ones. So to preface this conversation, I want to let you all know that I like cats and dogs. I do. I grew up with a family dog, and she was a mix. Here's a picture of her showing my receipts. Mostly border collie. There was some other mixtures in there. She lived to be 13 years old. Was a great dog. Now, the way we had that set up, basically the dog was primarily an outside dog. We had covered garage, covered porch, and most of the time the dog either slept in the garage or on the covered porch. And of course, if it was cold, we would have the dog in the garage, perhaps under a heat lamp. So the dog lived a very comfortable life, was fed well. Most of the time, canned dog food in the evenings, and we always kept, of course, water and dry dog food on the back porch. The dog was not an inside dog, kept a collar on it, and very rarely were there issues where we had to take it to the vet and spend lots of money. That was very rare. I think the dog was fixed at one point. That probably cost a few hundred, but it was not incessant. And maybe once or twice a year, the dog was shaved and groomed during the summer months because being in the South, it gets pretty hot. But I mean, expenses were not dramatic. And again, the dog being outside, the dog primarily took care of itself. And we only had a couple of acres, lived in a subdivision, but the homes were pretty far apart. I mean, it's nothing like they're stacked today in these small townhouse communities, where literally you can stand in between the two homes and touch one or the other at the same time. I mean, homes were typically 100, sometimes 200 yards apart from each other. The dog roamed free, did what it wanted to do during the day. Very rarely would a neighbor have an issue, and usually that was temporary and it was forgotten about. And a dog mostly did its business in the woods, and where it wasn't a situation where we were having to clean up after the dog, pick up after the dog. It was nothing like that. The dog was highly intelligent, did its business in the forest, luckily, and so it was not an issue. It was a very low maintenance situation. Again, there was no issues with leash laws and strict HOA laws with pets. There was nothing like that. So it was basically as far as I would want to go as far as the maintenance of a pet that is honestly a luxury item. I mean, unless you have a pet that is doing a job for you, I mean, it is nothing more than a luxury addition to your household. And again, that was a great experience, but most people don't have that ability. I would argue that most people today, if they're going to have a dog on their property and where that dog is able to roam freely outside without having to be watching it or keeping it on a leash or a runner or anything, you probably need at least 40 acres, I would argue. I mean, in the right scenario, maybe you could do it on 10 acres if everybody around you is on 10-acre tracts and the homes are very far apart. It's possible. But I would say you probably need about 40 acres to live that type of lifestyle today without running risk of dealing with upset neighbors and that kind of thing. And I also will say hunting dog breeds, they tend to roam. So if you got some type of hound dog, my grandpa had hunting beagles, and there were often issues where those dogs would get hot on a hunting trail and we were not able to recover them, or they might not return to our property for a day or two. And sometimes people would get them up and would call us and we'd have to go pick them up. So we ended up selling those dogs a few years ago and getting out of the hunting dog business. So But if you don't have some type of hound breed that's going to get on a trail and run off, typically most other dogs are going to stay on that property without any issues. So in today's world, it is shocking to me how so many people live in very small homes. I'm talking very small homes, apartments, condos, townhomes, and not only do they have a dog that stays most of the time locked up in the house, in many cases, they'll have multiple pets locked up in these homes. For example, I have one neighbor who has maybe 1,700 square feet, four dogs, two cats, two adults, all living in that. I rarely see the dogs getting walked. They have a pretty large backyard, and the dogs just do their business, and I bet it's a minefield in that backyard. I would hate to have to walk across it. And I'm sure the lawnmower guys are having to clean their mowers out every time they do the yards. I have another neighbor that probably even has a smaller setup, maybe 1,000, 1,200 square feet. And she has 7 dogs, and oftentimes house sits other dogs on the regular. Most of the time, these dogs are kept in the home. I really, truly do not understand. If people are all about animal rights and against being against animal cruelty, I like to put myself in the shoes of these pets. If I was a dog or a cat, I would not want to be locked up in a house, a townhouse, an apartment. I don't care if it was the Biltmore house. I wouldn't want to be in there. I would want to be outside, being able to roam free. And it is shocking how people not only will leave them in their house, but they'll put them in a cage so they don't mess in certain areas of the house that they don't want them to mess in, because I don't care. I have seen it my whole life. I don't care how well an owner says, oh, my dog is super trained, never had an accident. They all say that, and the dogs always have accidents. And quite frankly, many times I've seen some very highly intelligent dogs that will on purpose make a mess. If their owner leaves the room, or if there's food on the table, or if they're just in an unusual situation to where they're just left in the house when it's not a normal thing, I've seen dogs mess just because they can. And of course, dogs get sick. It never ceases to me that people will vouch for their dog's ability to be trained, yet that they mess almost as much as the dogs that are not trained. It is absolute fact. And so when you walk into somebody's house that has animals in the house, the people that live there do not notice it, but the smell is absolutely horrid. They cannot get rid of it. I don't care how much Febreze they spray all over everything. It doesn't matter how many Roomba vacuums they have, how much they Swiffer, how much they vacuum. It doesn't matter. The smell just soaks in to every piece of carpet, fabric. It doesn't matter. The hair is infinite, absolutely infinite. And in my opinion, it's absolutely unsanitary. I don't care how often you get your dog groomed. It is just simply amazing to me. Dogs go out on wet grass. They walk across grass that other dogs have already messed in. Cats dig in their own substances, whether that be in a litter box or in the yard. And they all of them claw, scratch, lick themselves. It's truly remarkable to me that people allow people will have these pets in their beds. I was talking to one lady that told me that after she showered at night, one of her cats would sleep in her hair. I cannot make this stuff up. It is truly remarkable to me. That's why I want to start this conversation on it. I want you all to comment on all these topics as much as you can. I'm just very curious as to what you've seen. And there's also a topic of conversation that we're not going to go into, that there's all sorts of debaucherous and hedonistic things going on the internet in regards to pets. We're not even going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's a whole nother topic. But in my opinion, having these animals in the house, having them cooped up, no matter what level of how cooped up they are, that is the highest form of animal cruelty, in my opinion. It just is. If you're going to have a pet, you need to be at the level of you have at least 40 acres and that pet can roam free. Point simple, point blank. That's all there is to it. That's my opinion. You can disagree with me if you like. And I've read a lot of historical books back in, say, the 1850s and before that. If a really wealthy person had pets, and most of the time it was the really wealthy people that had pets and was able to care for them properly, they weren't just strays that took up. It was just, you didn't see where they had more than 2 pets. And again, they were super well cared for. Most of the time, these people were landowners, and these pets were able to roam free most of the time. I mean, poor folks also had pets, but again, those animals roamed free, and a lot of times they got lots of scraps from the table as far as their food. But it seems to me today, we already know that the birth rate is going down, down, down every day. That's an absolute fact. So I think one element of it is people are replacing children with pets. They're thinking of their pets as children. And so that's one element. And I also think people are tremendous. More and more people are single today. I think it's predicted something like 60% of women over age 30 are going to be single within the next 10 years. So I think there's also an element of loneliness to this scenario where people think that the more pets they have, the less lonely they're going to feel. It's almost like having a large family where there's just lots going on. You're never lonely. You're never bored. I think people think that no matter if they get more pets, they'll just continue to fill those voids inside them. And it's obviously not working because oftentimes they continue to add to their pet family. So, and I see this all the time. People pushing pets in their strollers. I see this on a regular basis now. I've seen people wear the baby harnesses that go on their chest. They'll have a small dog in there. They'll have a purse or a tote bag. They'll be carrying the dog in that. Pets hanging out the window of their cars, trucks going down the road. My own brother, he had his dog's first or second birthday party recently. And they cooked an additional hamburger, a gourmet hamburger for this dog. So they're feeding these pets human foods. They're putting human clothes on them. They have pet hotels now. Veterinaries and groomers are on every corner. They have mobile vets and mobile groomers now. And these pets are like, they call them pet resorts. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's what you just would, it's like something you would send your wife to. I mean, unbelievable. So these pets have become tremendous money pits, tremendous. Hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month in maintenance on these pets now. I mean, they've got organic foods now for pets. And I think the next thing we're going to see more of, it's already been happening, but I think the next thing we're going to see is people getting married to pets more legally. And here's something very interesting to you. I just found out somebody very close to me in my immediate family, I cannot make this up, she has decided to leave all of her wealth, all of her assets, everything, all of her net worth to cats. Let me repeat that. Somebody very close to me has decided to leave all of their net worth to cats. I cannot make this up. This has been verified. I'm not going to say who, but God needs to send the asteroid because it is over. I mean, if you can't laugh at that, I don't know. You don't have a sense of humor. I mean, wow. There are exceptions in this world where animals provide a return on investment. And again, like I mentioned, unless you got 40 acres plus, dog can roam free. That animal better be serving a purpose. You better be getting a return on investment. AKA, say you are a sheep farmer and you need sheepdogs to guard your flocks, keep coyotes, other bad dogs at bay. That's an example. You are a hunter. You have dogs that hunt for you, whether that be rabbits, quail, retrieve waterfowl for you, other field birds, that type of thing. Those are examples where animals work for you. You get a return on those animals' investment. That makes sense to me. And I'll give you another example. My brother, who is an engineer, is working for a company that is rapidly building cat litter plants. So the fact is, the world is becoming more and more furry, particularly in the westernized world, the western side of the world. And what I will tell you is, based on my opinion and my observation and study, it's only going to snowball and increase. So my recommendation, advice to you all, again, I don't give legal or financial advice in quotations. The point is, if you want to get rich, find a way to create some type of product, service that feeds these insane people habits and what they're doing. They're giving their money away. Find a way to receive that money in these areas. One other thing, I'm a student of human nature. I observe people's behavior. If you don't believe me, check this out for yourself. Look on some of the dating apps. You can, create a fake profile. This is for pure study. Go look at these dating apps, particularly at the women's. Look at the women's profiles. Most of the women's profiles, they'll usually have pets. They'll have a picture of them with the pets, usually doing something goofy with a pet. And a lot of times they'll have simply pictures of their pets as if they are their children, as if you want me, this is my child, this child is coming with me. That is how they are presenting that, and it is extremely common. And I simply wonder what's next. Where is all of this going, is my question. And I want you all to ask yourselves this question. Have you opened your eyes and looked around at these phenomena? Are you experiencing and seeing the same things that I'm seeing? What's your opinion on these things? Again, there's no right or wrong opinion on it. I think there's absolute consequences to some of these decisions, there's no doubt. However, my thought is, how can I make money from this? That's what I'm thinking, because there is vast fortunes to be made in this huge societal shift. It's an interesting topic and an interesting question. And I hope you all join in the conversation. I've been meaning to get this video out for some time. I just wanted to try to get some thoughts together. This was right off the hip. I don't have any outline drawn out. So I just want to talk to you all about it. If you'd like to support the channel, there's means in the description. Subscribe, share, tap the thumbs up icon. Have a good evening.